I'm so confused. I don't know if that's true, YouTube. I don't know if that's true. In honor of the full moon, woo, 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 full moon, in Aries, a story has begun to be told. By me, Caleb Aaron. By that plane making sound. Here we are. So where do we begin? Well, I can show you what I have pulled up because I'm a contradiction. I have NASA's website and I have the astrology thing because I don't want to say no to science whenever I'm making up stories. That would seem stupid. Some people are not interested in hearing stories because they don't want to hear stories, and that's fine. But astrology is occult storytelling. I'm not fatalistic about it, obviously, because I don't see what the hell a planet has to do with my behavior and my choices. But enough of a disclaimer. So what are we gonna do? What are we gonna do when we see this chart? What story do we want to tell? Well, if you respect the art of astrology, if you respect the art of astrology, then what you will notice is that the sun is in the constellation Libra according to the tropical zodiacal system, which means it's the time of year essentially associated with the beginning of fall. It is no longer summer. Summer is over and we moved into fall. Now, the sun at that period is said to start to essentially kind of experience a time where it doesn't really want to experience. Like, again, I understand that this is in some ways is silly because the sun is going to keep keeping the sun no matter where it is. So again, I'm not trying to say that people who have the sun in Libras, like my brother, for instance, are bad, or Libras that I meet are bad. No, it's just that the sun in Libra is one of challenge for the sun because it's no longer getting to be in its prime time, which is more of like a summer or spring kind of energy. When we're starting fall, we're like, oh shit, it's like the downward part, like we're getting ready for winter. Now, the cool thing about this moon, this is a supermoon, right? Which means the moon is pretty dang close to Earth, because the Earth and the orbit, it's not like it's exactly like a perfect mathematical circle, always a certain distance. It's ebb and take, which is kind of terrifying if you think about it. Like the balance of the universe, it's like so amazing and terrifying and stable at the same time as being like, holy anyways, so the sun in Libra, not a great place for the sun to be, and the moon is in Aries. That is not like a, I don't know, is the moon bad at Aries? It's not bad. Like, it's not... Like, the moon in Pisces is probably prone to being a little flighty, intoxicated, not intoxicated. I see the moon in Pisces seems to be escapist or have problems with substances sometimes if it's not under control. The moon in Taurus is a little more comfortable and exalted, a little more steady, a little slower, more consistent, which is why I think the moon likes there. But in Aries, it's sort of like bridging in between those. So it's like it has a fastness. It has a boom, I'm doing this. Boom, I'm going here. Boom, I'm doing this. Do. Like the people who I interact with who have the moon in Aries, they're doing it. They're doing shit. So this sun in Libra is casting this light, right? It's illuminating really everything. Really. This sun in Libra is the ultimate illuminator right now, and it's struggling. It's struggling, so it's casting a struggling to shine its fullness. What it is shining in Libra is like this desire for fairness and balance, and again, beauty, symmetry. Like it's wanting things to be beautiful, wanting things to be balanced. Again, that's not bad. But when the sun is in there, The sun is such a consistent, powerful force that you can see why its concerns are maybe not in the same spirit of Libronic concerns. Like it's just not. Libra is a lot more social and attuned and sensitive and oriented towards Venusian things like love and pleasure, those kind of vibes. And it's about like the masculine side of what makes that possible. So it's like the romantic gesture of like a nice beautiful date. You dress nice, you're in a nice place, you smell nice, you eat nice food, you open the door. Like these are sort of like the things that are very masculine, the masculine side of love. And again, women and men can do it. Like it's also, there's a masculine component to like love making. Like and I would say that this one is a giving off of energy. It's a maintaining of a certain aesthetic, right? That's kind of the energy of Libra. It's very competitive, I think, honestly. Whereas the sun in Leo, it's less of a competitive. It's more like me, express me, as opposed to Libra, which is like, I'm better than this. I'm like, this is slightly better, and this is like, it's, yeah, the energy I'm feeling in my body right now is like, ooh, like that is genuinely what is coming up as I tune into this. Take this as you will. Take this as you will. It's just, Now, so the sun is in Libra, the moon is in Aries. So again, sun in Libra, not so great. The moon in Aries, kind of a more neutral, but definitely doing, definitely moving, definitely trying things. So this full moon, I would expect, it's not a good full moon in the sense that it's like, oh, I am expecting the story that I tell to be like one of like, how delicious, how delightful, how easy. This is more of like, you gotta do shit. You gotta do shit. You don't really get to, like, you don't really have a choice. Like, it's kind of feeling that way. Now, the ruler of Libra is in Leo. Let me take this off. I think I'm trying to make these more interactive. So, I'll go like this. So, yes, the sun in Libra, we've discussed, it is ruled over by Venus in Leo. So now, this Venus in Leo, as at the 22-degree marker, let's see, its energy, it's moving into Lilith energy. They're close enough that they're like starting to have some contact as far as an archetype. So there's like just a slight flavor of wrath and injustice that wants to happen. Slight wrath and justice. So this energy is very self-love. Me being excellent, doing the thing that I am loving to do because it makes me very happy to be the master of that particular thing that I like. I'm using all these words. So again, Venus rules Libra. So we have a bit of good news. Even though this sun in Libra is in challenge and this Venus in Leo is kind of, this one again is a little more neutral. Once it gets into Virgo, it starts to be a little more problematic. But since it's in Venus, there's something called mutual reception happening. Venus rules Libra, the sun rules Leo. Oh, look, they're in each other's houses. So that challenge of that Libra challenge to kind of like not be able to be like, oh, I'm doing me. I'm going to do what I want. In some ways, I have to kind of backtrack a little. Not that I'm wrong about that challenge. It's just, if you look a little below the surface, so the call with mutual reception to me is to just sort of like honor that energy of that kind of like, oh shit, something's got to be done. Something is gonna manifest. Because again, Aries is very initiatory. It's very like boom, boom, boom. And Libra is also very initiatory. It's like certain things got to be done, and it's not great. It's not the most delicious. But then just below the surface, if you really tune into it, find the love, find the love, find the mastery. I think there's a little bit of a wrath thing there too, but it's like, it's there. It's there. So the challenge is a little lessened. I think the challenge is a little lessened. We tap into like the self mastery. So the conversation I had with my friend last night was kind of like how we feel this pressure to really be excellent and to really give and do what we can. But you really can't do it all, right? You kind of have to find the parts that are really your wheelhouse. Now, as you move and navigate through life and you see people that need help and you see causes that need help, I don't want you to be so overwhelmed by the gambit of all of them that you just sort of don't even do the little things that you could do. Because out of the billions of people that exist, it's like you're one unique portion of that. But my Jupiter and Leo energy is like, I've got to help everything. I've got to expand to all. Not helped over by my mutual reception between Pisces and Leo. This one, I don't know. This mutual reception, again, has a planet in fall, essentially the sun in Libra, with another planet that is more neutral. But there's a sextile energy happening. So there's like this, that Venus that's neutral is mutually receiving in a way, like the sun and Venus, they're receiving each other. And it's like a really good learning opportunity for the loving aspect of your energy, the self-loving, the creative self. There's a real opportunity to learn through this. Like, so like, let's say that something gnarly goes down, you're encountering this sort of gnarly thing that's like coming up, and it's like, what is this saying about what I really feel and want? What is this momentum showing me about myself? Like, that's really the learning thing that seems to be happening. In my own birth chart, since I have mutual reception between the sun in Pisces and Jupiter and Leo, again, they rule each other. Just like in this one. Jupiter in Leo is a more neutral energy, right? And the sun in Pisces is a more neutral energy. The thing though is, like, the sun, when it's trying to get to Leo from Pisces, is in conjunct, which means it's like really hard for them. Like, it's almost like the only way that those things are going to really connect is if like God has it ordained. Like, it's like, that's the in conjunct story. Now in my chart, they're actually trining, which means that, like, numerically there is actually a pretty strong relationship happening, because it's sort of the end of Pisces and the beginning of Leo, so there's actually a trine occurring. So in my case, it's more on the side of there is a flow, but it's not a comfortable flow. It's not an easy flow. It's like taking the sense of self and just exploding it on a global scale, which for me happened because of how I was raised growing up in a third world country. There's like this deep stretching of like who I am in that Pisces sun, which is the no boundaries connecting to my environment, just open to just flowing with the fish, with this lion, like really strong, like, this is my territory. I will nap, I will feast, I will display my beauty, like it's my power even. So it's like, it's a lot. But the aspect that they're making is in conjunct. It's the Jupiter, that it's in conjunct to that one, but Jupiter also rules Sagittarius. So from Leo to Sagittarius, that energy is a little more flowing. So there's a little more. Jupiter, because it rules 2 constellations, has a little more access to the Sag aspect of my chart, which there's nothing there outside of Lilith. um, a little bit of rage, a little bit of wrath. So, but in this chart, back to the collective, since Venus in Leo has sextile access, it's just making things a little easier. Now, when it comes to Taurus, Venus has a more square aspect. So it's actually the helpfulness of that sextile energy from Venus going into Libra, being able to sort of elementally kind of relate fire and air go nicely together. In some ways, that fire and earth relationship that it's having with the other sign it rules is it's in some ways it just sort of makes things a little bit more complicated, a little bit more challenging. You have to give a little more give and take. That's how Venus and actually Aries, Venus and Mars, those planets have these kind of relationships pretty much no matter what. Like, it's just the nature of love. Like, it's dual. It is, in some ways it's good to be a warrior and it's good to be a fighter, but it's also terrible. There's a flip side. In some ways it's great to be in love, but it's also terrible. Like, surrender to the pinions of love, like the swords that will like destroy you. Like, it's The Prophet is one of my favorite books to describe that kind of stuff. It's like I just am not. There's some sort of dissonance in me. There's definitely some sort of dissonance in me. So, yes, Venus is in Leo, ruling over by the sun, so that's that train. Now, the moon rules over Cancer, but what rules over Aries? What rules over Aries? Let me get this down again so I can show you guys. What rules over Aries, where the moon is Mars. Mars is in Libra. So, lots of Libra vibes happening. Mars in Libra is in detriment. Libra, it is a difficult, challenging, like Libronic sort of energy time. That's just why, because it's like the planets it sort of is least happy to have in its domain are there. Because tons of impulse to just ceaselessly continue blasting heat, or Mars, which is similarly hot and cutting and aggressive, in the place where it's like most interested in things being balanced and stable and social. And it's like, yes, sometimes it's necessary. So if you have Mars or the sun in Libra in your chart, that is what is necessary. Those challenges are the things that you must do, you must deal with, you must integrate with, because that's your story. That's the story of the moment. Who would we be if people didn't stand up to oppressive slaveholders? There is a call to fight there. There is a call to revolutionize. It's just not fun. It's not fun. And but life is like that. This is challenging energy. So if you have this in your birth chart, I don't want you to be dismayed. I don't want you to be dismayed by the challenges, because like I don't see any escape from those. To deny the negative in some ways is something that a lot of people do so much that they're actually unsafe, and they're not. It's like the positive focus energy sometimes gets so out of hand that it causes like idiotic things to be done. So let's talk about this Mars in Libra. That's also bowing down to that Venus in Leo that we discussed. It is sextiling it. Exactly, essentially. So 20, well, not exactly, but pretty damn close. Within what, 1 degree away from being an exact aspect? Yeah. It's very dang close. And Uranus is squaring Venus. Oh my gosh. So this Venus is very powerful. This Venus in Leo is very powerful, and it's being... Uranus is squaring it, which is tense, which is balancing. Earth on fire. Fire doesn't necessarily want Earth. I guess that's not entirely true. It does need a little bit of Earth to burn up. It needs a little bit of substance. I think earthy material, plant matter, but it has to be so dried out. Like it doesn't want water, and it doesn't want... If it's going to use Earth, it needs to be water-free Earth. You know, like it needs to be ready to be burned. Air is a lot more harmonious. Like it's definitely necessary for fire. That's the difference. Whereas Earth, it depends on the Earth, but there does need to be some. There does need to be a little bit of Earth. So for this story, Uranus retrograde squaring Venus, Uranus is just like all of a sudden a different vibe. Like all of a sudden, oh, like it can be like that's what I'm gonna do. It's happening now. Like it's sudden, sparky, jolty. Like have you ever been on a plane and then it's just like you're chilling and then all of a sudden turbulence? Like that's not a pleasant experience. It's not a pleasant experience at all, because sometimes it makes you nervous, but then, like, it is what it is. You just sort of have to just deal with it. You just have to deal with that bump. You have to deal with it. So when Uranus is present, I mean, yeah, I wish Jupiter was a little closer to Uranus, to be honest. They're not. Jupiter's at 14, it's at 22, so it's a shred, a tiny shred of Jupiter might be mixing in with it, which is nice. We'll take what we can get. A tiny thing of positive in it. Look for the tiny silver lining, maybe, of this sudden shift to this self-love experience. That's, again, there's a injustice thing there. It's like loving the clarity, maybe, that comes from this It is hard to not get into revenge mindset. Like, it is hard. So how about this? This example. Let's say you go on a date, and that date is so terrible because, again, the person you're going on, his true colors are like so horrid, so repulsive, so undesirable, right? Like, what is the plus side of that? Well, the plus side is you got to really know that person very quickly, and their rude behavior and their abrasiveness really sort of clarified for you what it is that you didn't want, and you got that insight, and you sort of know what to look out for. Again, I don't want to make an enemy of that person. Because they're not that way for no reason. That doesn't mean we support it. That doesn't mean we, like, approve of their behavior by any means. But again, nothing happens in a vacuum. And maybe, just maybe, you can practice really being present with that, expressing your truth, and maybe even sort of, if it's safe, being able to just sort of be a slight change instrument in that experience. You're like, oh, This is how they're choosing to present. This is how I'm going to choose to present. I'm aware that this will not be positively received, but perhaps this will give them a little love and clarity later on in their life. So how does this play out in your life? It may not be a date, because Venus is the one in charge, which in some ways that's good. If something's going on in Libra, like the challenge in Libra, in some ways it's nice because Libra doesn't, I'm not saying that Libra isn't important, because Libra is important. Harmony and balance and beauty, and it's so important. This, to me, Libra is like, the aesthetic of the Apple store is probably part of the reason they're so successful. Is because it's like, wow, like going in here, it's like, this is really nice. Like, it's very pretty. There's not too much going on. Like, I don't have that like headache sometimes that I do when I go into other stores where I'm just like bombarded by like so much. It's just like, I don't even know where to begin. Apple's like, you begin here. So it's whenever there's challenges, whenever it's a mess, whenever it's not gorgeous, it's not easy to find what you want, there's disharmony, and it's still I just hope that the basic needs, the survival basic needs, are I'm not saying, well, this is where it gets so difficult to do a collective reading, because I know that there's disparity and I know that there's people that are struggling. But of course, the people that have access to this YouTube video, it's very likely, if they're able to experience this, that they do have access to clean water and food. Like, it is very likely that you do if you're experiencing this. If you don't, I'm really sorry that you don't. And I'm really sorry that you don't. It's really bullshit. It's really bullshit if you don't. It's really bullshit. And there are people in the world who don't. I doubt it's you. I bet you do have clean water. And I bet you do have access to food, to sustenance. I bet that. I'm hoping that. If not, I hope that that changes. I don't have a ton of money. But if you live in the LA area and you don't have that, I can get you some rice and beans, because I want to. I want to. Now, I don't have the means to take care of a ton of people at this stage. It just doesn't seem, especially compared to some of these massive rich people who seem to be hoarding their wealth like dragons. Not the greatest. Not the greatest of strategy. Yeah, the North Node is in Aries, so it's not like it's not close enough to the moon that I think it's really doing too much damage. So let's go over what we talked about. The sun and the moon, Mars and Venus. So the planets that we have not discussed, especially, is Saturn, which is making no aspects, which makes me think that this full moon may not be one that has the durability and the backbone of these experiences, so it's like maybe not as lasting, which, given how gnarly it is, I'm not that mad about. I kind of like the idea of the experience passing, because this one is just not the greatest of full moons that I've ever seen. It's not my favorite of all of them. Mercury, we have not discussed, is in Virgo. This is certainly really strong for perfecting, problem solving, for analyzing, for harvesting. Like, I'm just thinking about, like, man, this is a good idea for editors. This is a good experience for cleaning up house. This is a good time to like do research into supplements that may nourish you, or to really investigate like what products are the least harmful to the environment, so you can use your money and your purchasing power to maybe weigh like organic cucumbers wrapped in plastic or normal cucumbers. Like organic helps the environment, right? Like I want to protect that type of farming practice, as opposed to, well, but they're covered in plastic. It's like, what happens to that plastic? Where does it end up? Like, in an effort to try to be good, are we actually causing more problems? I mean, like, to just really have the empirical data, that's going to require some digging and some investigation and some tough analysis. But I think it's a good time to do that, because it's not it's not opposing it exactly, but they're certainly opposing. Let me show you. So you can see like this sun and the moon exactly opposite. There's the full moon. Those are both, the moon bows down to Mars, which is getting squared by Pluto, the planet, or not a planet, the dwarf planet, or Venus, a sextile. So that's a little more helpful. And since Venus rules Libra, it's like markedly more helpful, and we'll take it. We'll take the help, because fuck, this is not fun. Okay, so I don't mean to be an alarmist. I'm just trying to embody the story, and I hope you relate to it. So Venus, Mars, square, Mercury. Yes, so that one is being opposed by Neptune, which means watch your substance intake. Certainly don't be operating any vehicles or anything crazy like that, because like this is so strong that I'm like, I don't want to shy away from this. Like, I don't want to shy away from it. Like, have a combo ceremony. Like, fucking explore that shit. Like, if it's, but just be smart about it. Like there's certain places where like weed is not legal, right? Like, it's just not. So don't be an idiot. I don't want you to go to jail because of that shit. Like, but if you're in LA, it's fucking legal. You know what I'm saying? Like, to use these intoxicants, to, if it's true, but just don't abuse them. Gosh, it's like, okay, for instance, people who want to just say never use intoxicants. Well, there are people who have seizures and stuff who take cannabis and it like stops them. Like, I've heard these things. Or people who can't sleep, have tons of nightmares, who pop edibles and then sleep like a baby. Like, I've heard this from real people. I'm not saying that those people are perfect, but I'm just really grateful that they found something that might have helped them, and I don't want to be demonizing things. So, okay, if I look at this chart, we're discussing the aspect. This shape is very nice. The outer planet Pluto, Neptune, and Uranus. There's a real nice configuration here that's happening. I guess it's been here for a while, given how slow these move. So we're going to have this for some time, because Pluto's the slowest. So yeah, there's going to be a point where, yeah, Uranus is going to move. I mean, I'm really curious about this shape, actually, like, to see how this unfolds, because this trine sextile, ooh, this is sexy to me. There's a durability to this shape that is kind of sexy. Ugh, okay, so Pluto, Neptune, and Uranus. Yeah, and this messenger god is tapping into the and Jupiter's no doubt going to be moving into that. La la la, ooh la la. Okay, so this is cool. This is a cool thing. This is going to be what I end on, because I think, yeah, Virgo's in rulership. Sun, we've done all those. Jupiter is ruled over by Venus as well. Yeah, that Venus is hopping. Love is all I want to give to myself. Love is all I want to experience, my dears. Me. No offense, Venus in Leo. No offense. It's okay. You are self-obsessed. And maybe you should be. I just like Leos because they take themselves so damn seriously. And I mean it that way. I don't mean that facetiously. It's like they understand the value of their life, and they're just not gonna quit. Sun in Leo. Sun in Leo. Rawr. Anyways, okay. Okay. That's that shape. They're all retrograde right now, which is a little more meh. Pluto, Neptune, Uranus. Okay, that's what's popping into my head. This book. He is actually someone who is a teacher of meditation, the same school of meditation. Wow, do you see how that light is just like fucking magic? I hope it shows up. This is so fucking magical looking. Do you see the light? This is what I'm gonna say. This feels like Pluto, Neptune, Uranus retrograding. Something like this. So Pluto, so far. Oh shit. Hello, Uranus. Ooh. This is not my favorite of. Oh, I just got a thing from my agent. I'm gonna need to look at that as soon as this is done. So, we're gonna do a little sample reading from this. Okay, makes sense. A modern calf in an industrial meat farm. Immediately after birth, the calf is separated from its mother and locked inside a tiny cage, not much bigger than the calf's own body. There, the calf spends its entire life, about 4 months on average. It never leaves its cage, nor is it allowed to play with other calves or even walk. Also that its muscles will not grow strong. Soft muscles mean a soft and juicy steak. First time the calf has a chance to walk, stretch its muscles, and touch other calves is on its way to the slaughterhouse. In evolutionary terms, cattle represent one of the most successful animal species ever to exist. At the same time, they are some of the most miserable animals on the planet. Sexy. Sexy what human beings are doing, huh? Now, I understand that not all farmers operate that way, but I've seen enough of this kind of research to last me a lifetime. To scare me away from eating meat and all that. Like, this is a really interesting thing. So this that blue triangle I was talking about has Capricorn energy and Taurus energy and Pisces energy. These energies are very manifested. They're very much what we're receiving. They're all on the feminine side, and it's big. It's with that Neptune in Pisces, it's fucking big. It's huge. It's the widest reaching, most consistently spreading, immersive as possible. Like it's huge. And that Pluto in Capricorn is behind the scenes, like the way that I think about Pluto, because sometimes it is closer to the orbit than Neptune, which it was when I was born. Well, really my generation, more give or take years before and after my birth, Pluto was there. That's not normal. Normally Pluto is further away, but it did sneak in, and it is a planet. It's not a planet. Like the new students are not going to be talked about Pluto, but Pluto's going to be something that's like they hear about. Like, is it a planet? Is it not a planet? It's going to be something that will be in the vernacular, but it'll be contested. So it's interesting, and it's associated with hell. It's like, how can I say this? I don't think that it doesn't make sense to me that there's a place where you will be tortured forever and ever and ever, like in a lake of fire. Like, it doesn't make sense that that would be a place. Like, why would the universe or God or whatever make that? But then I think of the Holocaust, and I think of famine, and I'm like, well, maybe hell is kind of a place. Like, I don't see myself allowing myself to experience hell. Take that as you will. I don't plan to stick around for that. That's not on my playbook. But you know, I just think that Capricorn is the place where the malefics are glorified. I don't, achievement, durability in an impermanent universe. Like, it's, the more that I resonate with Capricorn, the more it makes sense to me that Saturn loves to be there and Mars loves to be there. Those are nasty things in many respects, but they're also again, like, the sword that cuts down the, like, the evil tyrant that's just literally raping and pillaging. Like, that sword makes a kill that I don't want to put in the same box as the actions of the guy doing those things. Like, the sword of defending yourself feels so different. Like, a Jedi versus a Sith. Like, they're both, if you look at them, they're both committing great violent acts. The battle, Arjun, you know, like, these, one of, Pluto there, again, it's so subtle and it's so distant. It's even beyond dreams. Like, in my opinion, it's even beyond dreams. It's beyond, like, even extinction. Because it's so deep. It's in our what we're achieving and what's lasting. It's really interesting. A learning about that. And then Taurus, being Uranist. I like using the planets as like a verb. We read about cows, that's where Jupiter is. Man, I just love the light on this thing. I just love it. Maybe you should read this book. Maybe I should read it. I haven't finished it. I've definitely read that. I made it to that section. I actually gave it to my grandpa. I'm like, Grandpa, I think you'll like this book. And he's like, it was great. Did you get to this part? And I'm like, not yet. He's like, you recommended me a book that you haven't even finished? And I'm like, yes, I did. I think you would like it. He did like it. He read it. I mean, if that doesn't mean he likes it, then I don't know. Oh, people. Oh, people. Okay. What have we not discussed? What other players in the sky have we not discussed? I think all the shapes, more or less, have been there. What is the shape between Pluto and 20? And it's like, it's very weak, but I want to see what the aspect is. Aspect table. Oh, okay, yeah, it's a very weak trine. Very weak trine between Pluto and Mercury. Sing, sweet nightingale, sing, sweet nightingale, la 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 la. The dominance. Yeah. Mercury is in real good shape, minus that little opposition from Neptune. But again, I think it can handle it. You can handle it, Messenger God. You can say it. You can do it. But, like, this is so all over the place. But how can astrology not be? How can it not be? I feel so beautiful. I'm gonna be eroded into dust and turn old, and that's gonna be what it's gonna be. But I can try and take care of my body. I can try and exercise. I can do it. This feels like a flow state for me, just to come to y'all, to say love, light, and the snake's bite, and to share stories. Like, I was crying the other day. I don't know. How do I want to spend my time? I'm such a mess. I'm such a mess. I'm such a mess. Mess. More reading, writing, acting, trying. And there's so much resistance. I'm torn apart. What am I going to say to close this? I'm having like a fit. It's like my energy's throwing a fit. Just do it. Just do it. Oh, gosh. So this full moon is the integration between my second house and my 8th house, which is not the strongest. Something about money, something about like taxes, and it's all just like serving like a, I mean, there's, fuck. I'm just not a fan of some of the things. Like the way that this color is working in this frame, big time fan. Like, I get it, the universe has made us. It's made the tapestry, it's made this tie, it's made the humidifier, which is out of water. I probably need to clean it. And maybe replace the filter. And then is that good for the environment? And do I really need it? And is it good for me? And sing, sweet nightingale. Sing, sweet nightingale. Okay. I'll try to make up a song. Is it still in tune? I hope so. Let's go back to the chart and see what we want to say. And then I'll just put this part as the little announcement. Oh, little blue triangle, I like to know what you mean. The sign in the sky that's so distant, shining for me, shining for me. Is that true? It seems so much larger than I wonder why it's in the sky and on this page. Oh, distant planets shining far, I'm putting wishes in a jar and dyeing them and floating them out to sea. The celestial sea in this starry land that we dwell, that's tinged by sudden touches of hell. I hope that we can do without the torture, pain. I don't know what I should do. I don't know what I should say. But I come to you and speak the stars in my mind that wants to play, that wants to change the things it seems to know by being here in form. What a splendid thing that dies. What a splendid thing that cries. What a splendid thing that lies to you in stories, but hopes to make some glories for the dawn of a new age, of a new way to wage a war on what is done. Human core values are obvious to me, and I want them to change. Oh, I want them to change. Please do not remain the same. song. It was you all along, that was the star. Love, light, and the snake's bite. I like making shit up. I like astrology. I'm a star storyteller.